ClassLink can be broken down into kind of 4 unique areas. I think it's fair to say it's kind of like a unifying platform that simplifies digital learning. It makes seamless access, powerful data insights, basically into all the data and all the educational success that you're having in your school. So the Launchpad, in effect, is your single sign-on platform. It's supported by MFA for students too, and I don't know if that popped up in the conversation, but MFA, cybersecurity companies are now asking more and more for how are you securing student logins into their resources with MFA. I'll show you that today as well, and how easy that can be, even without a device. The analytics I've just spoke about, providing you with that, understanding and picture of what resources are being used in your school. But these 2 areas up here on the right-hand side are basically how we help you guys in technology. And I think it's going to answer a lot of the questions that we were just speaking about then. The OneSync server will do all of your account provisioning, deprovisioning into those different directories. It's basically automated, so we remove any of that manual potential issues. ClassLink will take data from multiple data sources, pull that into the OneSync server, and then we can push that out to your different directories, AD, Azure, or Enter ID and Google. And obviously, if you want to, you can push it out to a CSV file for output further down the line as well. And the other part we do is rostering. So this is sharing your school data securely with all of those third-party educational platforms that you use or that need user data, such as Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, or any other platform, Athletics, TT Rockstars, you name it, you can share data with it. One of the big differences with ClassLink and our competitors is the educational companies don't have to pay ClassLink for this data. They don't have to pay to integrate. So you're free to share that data with any third-party platform that is able to receive that data safely and securely, using either the One Roster standard, an API, or giving them a custom SFTP export as well, in whatever format they need. So I'll loop back around to that, but a bit of information about ClassLink for those that don't know. We only work in education. We have about 22 million users logging on every single day, and we're in more and more countries each year. We're up to about 45 now. This slide hasn't been updated in a while, but we're about 45 countries, and we're global. So before I kick off into looking at a demonstration, which I'm just about to go into now, and I'm going to focus on that login screen, a little bit about analytics, and then I'm going to talk about how we do the account provisioning and rostering. Does anybody have any questions from me at this stage? No. Okay, that's fine. I'll take silence as golden. So the login screen can be branded however you choose to log in. This school are logging in with Microsoft. This school are choosing to have a login screen with a QR code. You can also choose to log in with Google. Malvern College here in Hong Kong are logging in with a QR code as well. So when I come to log in to the login screen, I can click login. I don't know if it'll let me use my camera while I'm on video. It is. I just hold the QR code up to the screen. And that's how your smallest children would log into ClassLink. You then have the option of asking them would they like some form of multi-factor, which can be as simple as an image. So when the user comes to log in, they would see a selection of images like this, and they would then be asked to log in. So theoretically speaking, I should be able to find my image on here, which I chose pre-meeting. And then the user would be able to log in. So the user chooses their image, and that's how simple it is for them to log into the login screen. Now, when they log into their single sign-on portal, they're presented with a personalized and a tailored opportunity to be able to access the tools and resources they need. So they will only see the tools and resources that you've allocated to that user. So some of you will know if I log in as a year 7, I'm only going to see the tools that I need year 7s to see. I can log in at a different school as a year 7, and that group might see a completely different group of tools depending on what tools that school are using. A user simply clicks on the tool that they've been allocated, and you can see they are automatically logged in. They don't have to do anything else. There's no complication. They click on any digital tool, And ClassLink has almost like a Swiss Army knife of tools to be able to make that user sign in without having to click sign in here, sign in with Google, sign in with Microsoft, whatever the tools require. ClassLink can make that happen. And I'm always happy to just show how we do that. We have a range of different options from federated SSOs, Microsoft and Google. We even have custom connections. So those applications where the vendor sends you applications, sends you usernames and passwords, we can upload them. Or the final one is the user can enter their username and password once and it will remember it for them. Okay. So that's how simple it is to log in safely and securely with multi-factor. And in relation to multi-factor, we have various different options there. So I showed you the image, which is most commonly used for primary school children, but you can use a 6-digit PIN number for older students. You can even use your Google Authenticator for staff and administrators. So you can have a layered approach to all of those. And I think Pedro's put a question in, can the Launchpad be disabled? In essence, you can roll the Launchpad out to any user or user group that you would want to do. You can or cannot use the Launchpad. It's up to you. But I think the answer is yes, but I'd need to understand more about the context of that question. Okay, so please feel free to get in touch and we'll pick that up. The other area that I was going to focus on was analytics. Okay, so when we come into analytics, ClassLink has a live analytics tool. The analytics is an area where, as a school manager or an educator, you're able to come in and we've reviewed the dashboard here. This is a demo platform, so ignore the data that's in here. It's all dummy data, but you can see which digital resources are being used in your school. You know, which students and staff are using the digital tools you're giving them, how many logins you're having on each day of the week, month, etc. I have the ability to be able to come down to schools. Okay, if I want to look at which schools are using which tools, I have the ability to be able to compare. I can look at how long students, staff are spending in resources. I can see which digital tools are being utilized in the school. I can even see which students and staff are using these resources as well. And I think it's really important to understand that I've got that high level, so I can understand all the different digital tools that are being utilized through ClassLink. You know, how long people are spending in them, how long people are not spending in them. And I also think it's important to know that if you're paying for digital resources, you want to be able to understand, you know, are they actually delivering a return on the investment? So I can come in and I can look at which students, which staff are using any digital tool, how many sessions people are using these tools for. I can even add my license information, which again, picking up on the costs is vital. I can come into any digital resource, add my licenses here, how much it costs, number of licenses, when it runs to and from, and that all feeds through to a cost tab. So I can see at the leadership level all the costs that are associated with my particular school or school environment, how much a license cost, you know, because you've entered it, how many licenses are bought, and also how many licenses unique users are using those licenses. So in this Seesaw example, they paid $50,000 for 50,000 licenses. Therefore, it's $1 a license, but they're only using 1,700. So is there a problem to adoption? Is there challenges to why these tools are not being used? I can deep dive into the application, understand which tools are being utilized and by whom, and then try and plot a digital strategy to make the best use of that resource. Or you know, instead of sending an email when the renewal comes through saying we've had a renewal for 50,000 licenses, are we still using this tool and relying on evidence from teachers saying, yes, I now have the data to make data informed decisions around that particular information there as well. So I'm keeping this very high level. There are lots of points to go through in relation to analytics, but the key takeaways are you can look at group level, what's going on in your school. I can also have the ability to be able to look at school level. I can look at what individual schools are doing. I can look at user level if I wanted to. I can come all the way down to individual users and I can say, right, what grades are using which tools. And finally, I can come down to the application level itself. So you can splice and dice your data however you see fit, okay? But analytics is a key part of ClassLink, and ultimately, By controlling access to the resources, you get all the analytics behind it to be able to work out whether or not these tools are the right tools for your particular school environment. So last part I'm going to go into today with about 10 minutes left on my time. I'm going to go into the OneSync part. Okay. And OneSync was the area where, if you remember, we pull source data into OneSync, and then we push it out to the destination. So this would be connecting your various different data sources in your school environment for account provisioning. So we can add a data source very simply, very easily. As you can see, we can even use AD as a source, a CSV file, an API. We can even manage Google Sheets. So you could have somebody managing a Google Sheet on reception, you know, for temporary members, staff, contractors, etc. We can use that as a data source as well, so they don't have to enter that into the school information system. So you have different opportunities to be able to add source data. You can add any number of data sources, okay? And you can see whether these are scheduled, whether they're manual, or whether they're disabled, okay? We have the ability to be able to import manually if you wanted to as well, but most schools automate these, okay? So let's show you one that already exists. This is staff. It's been connected. We set some thresholds so we don't have any unusual bumps in the road. And we set a synchronization schedule. It can be, if you wanted to, every 5 minutes, but you'll generally find most schools will do it, you know, every 12 hours or twice a day or once a day, depending on when the school information system updates, etc. But you can have different data sources with different synchronizations. We can pull in secondary sources. So provided there's a link, a bit like a Venn diagram, between the data that you want to supplement and the information where it's coming from, we can link secondary sources as well. We can filter the data at source. You don't need to bring it all in. Whatever fields you want to bring in, this is bringing it in from the source to OneSync. You can add any number of fields, okay? So if the data exists in the source, bring it in, and you can map it to OneSync. If the OneSync field exists already, use that. If it doesn't, add your own. Really nice, really simple. And we also have the ability to transform your data. So if you're not happy with the data at source and you want it to change when it hits OneSync, we can absolutely do that for you, as well as some examples. Work location name 100, we want it to say education center, for example. Okay, so that's it. Your data source is brought in, and it tells you whether or not that's going ahead. The only other thing we have to do then is send it out to a destination. Okay, so as you can see on here, this one's sending it out to a CSV file for an account claiming tool. We're sending it out to 3 Active Directory destinations, 1 Entra and 2 Google. Okay, and obviously another CSV for some student program lunch. You can have any number of destinations. So again, you'll generally see AD, Entra, or Google. So it will do that for you absolutely every time. But I'm going to just pick AD for staff for this particular example, just to show you, because I know this has got a more fuller picture, but it's the same for all the different directories that we use. We write to your directory. We select users. Users are your collections, in effect. It will dynamically create the groups based on whatever conditions you want to create. The default mapping in the time we've got, this is taking fields now from OneSync to your destination. As you can see, we have the ability to be able to map exactly what we need to map to those different destinations. We can add as many fields in as you want. So if you want to pick a field from OneSync, you have the ability to be able to do that, and all of the coding and the formatting is also built in here for you too. So you can absolutely pick the fields you want. If the field that you want doesn't exist, you can obviously create and add a new custom attribute as well. So really nice, really simple. In this example, we're using the left given name, left middle name, left surname for the initials, and you get the idea how easy that is. One thing I'm always keen to stress, and somebody mentioned it in one of the other earlier in the call, some others use different tools. ClassLink makes it nice and simple by providing a nice, clear interface, which you're fully in charge of. Okay, so you don't need to rely on a third party to be able to do this for you. You're completely in charge of everything. As you can see, when it writes across, we have some neat little features like only add when adding a new user. in this example, a password. We don't want to be writing password every time it updates. We only want to be adding that when adding a user. Okay, so neat little features to help you. Some other additionals. Somebody mentioned about increments earlier. If there are 22 Andrew Aitchisons, it will either use an alternative. If you want to create an alternative, we can use basic increments, and we can even do cross-domain checking as well. So they're all built in and automated too. So let's go down to custom mapping. Basically, custom mapping is creating rules for anything out of the ordinary. So your default mapping is what you want everything to do. Default mapping is in the event of this happening. And again, all our custom mappings are condition based. You can add any number of and or arguments, and then what do you want that to happen? So you can make as many different mappings based on special conditions that you want. Groups, we can add group mapping exactly as you were just highlighting earlier on. So if you want people to move into different OUs, different security groups, mailing groups, ClassLink can do all that for you nice and simply as well. And I think the last part, which is equally important, is the events and actions. So events and actions, we see schools using it an awful lot for being able to be able to do all those administrative tasks as well as creation of the accounts on the back of. So a simple one is disable users on disable. If we look at this one, the condition is the user is disabled, not less than today. And the actions are they're going to move to a different OU. They're going to move to a disabled user. But we also have the ability to modify AD property and values. You can ignore, fail, disable. If you do run scripts, we can still run those PowerShell scripts on the back of any event that you want to do as well. And one of the biggest things we see schools using it for is to be able to automate emails. So if Dan Taylor joins your school tomorrow, you might want to send an email saying, Dan Taylor's joined, and the email allows you to reference those accounts, those fields from OneSync. So you could say the username Dan Taylor and the class, the school, please provision a device, and it will automatically reference all of those fields in the email too. So we see it being used an awful lot. One other thing, I think, I'll just show you, I think it's in here, events and actions in Google. I have the ability to be able to modify, remove licenses, as you can see on there. So one of the things that we see when users are disabled, ClassLink does have the ability to be able to assign licenses, but we can also remove licenses as well. So we can absolutely do that for you too. And on OneSync, I'm just reading the questions. Did anybody have any questions on account provisioning? Because I've got one more piece to show you about rostering. Analytics, Tim, just go down. Okay. Right. Well, I'm just going to go on to rostering now. The last part of what ClassLink is able to offer to you in relation to schools is the ability to be able to share your data with all of those third-party vendors. Okay. So ClassLink brings in your school data, and this is all hosted on AWS. So when we bring in your school data, we have the ability to be able to connect your school information system in here. We then pull through a series of CSV files. So you'll probably see your school information system in here. I'm sure someone mentioned that they were on Arbor earlier on. We were already working with Arbor, Bromcom, PowerSchool, iSAMS, you name it, we work with it. And if we don't see your school MIS system on here, we have the ability to be able to use a variety of different tools to be able to bring that data into. We then bring through those CSV files, and then we have a dashboard with all of your applications on and the different data sources you're using. So what basically ClassLink allows you to do, and it might be worth just visually sharing this again, we allow you to be able to connect all of your third-party applications into one location and manage the data sharing from your school information system. So if I pick one with a rule, we have your data in here. We can expand the rule. We can create, look at the results of that particular rule. And this is a dummy platform. But to create a rule for what data I'm going to share with these vendors, very simple. I can copy and paste any rule that might fit for that particular tool. I can create very simply a name. I can give student grades 1, 2, 3, for example. Nice and simple. But if I want to go to the full interface, I can add as many different and or arguments to be able to filter that data exactly as I see fit. What I then have is a tool where I have created the rule. It's pulled through the relevant data, and I then have the ability to be able to look at what fields I'm going to be sharing, tick them on or tick them off, to be able to give the vendor an API key and secret so they can come and get that themselves and be able to collect the data, or I can give them a file export. So the file export usually, in most cases, is going to be SFTP, but there are other options there too. You would select what template you're going to be giving them, first name, last name, whatever the vendor is specifically asking for. And if you need to create a custom export, we can create a new CSV export in there. But you'll see lots of the normal kind of, Apple School Manager, NWA Map, HMH, McGraw-Hill, all of those kind of like are already in there anyway. And then how often are you going to send those different digital to that data set to that particular vendor? So we can set the synchronization schedule. There's only one further piece that we really need to look into, and that is data guard. Okay. Now, when I was looking at that particular application, data guard's a brand new feature of ClassLink that allows you, in essence, to be able to share data a little bit more securely. So let's just see. I'm going to pick one with data. Okay, this has got some data guard on. Data guard is allowing you these days to be able to understand that when you currently protect your school data, all of the data in school is protected. But when you share that data externally to a third-party vendor, your security is therefore potentially at risk. So what data guard allows you to do is now use masking. So we can guard that data if we want to. We can, this one's got username, family name. We have the ability to be able to do a full mask, and these are all customizable. So full mask, instead of sending HSON, we're going to send them completely random data. Okay, it's not encrypted, so therefore it can't be unencrypted at the destination. And we can do short mask. We might just want to send the first 7 letters from the full mask. We can even do smart mask. So smart mask is we're seeing where vendors need a certain amount of data. So let's just change the number of letters to 4. You can see what happens to that data there. Instead of it being student, it will change it if I press save to the necessary information. So you have different abilities to be able to mask data. But masking data, we're seeing more and more as schools are wanting to give less PII out to their third-party vendors, still meeting the requirements of the vendor. The vendors are happy because they're receiving less PII. So if there is a cyber incident at their particular organization, any data that leaks out is going to be less, and less is more in this particular case. And we believe that by utilizing ClassLink, we're giving you tools to be able to automate all of your account provisioning. You have the ability to be able to automate all of the data that flows outside your party to those third-party vendors. And above all, you have the ability to be able to enhance the Launchpad experience, the access and tools, which is device agnostic, for all of your users, students, teachers, staff, and parents in one location for all of your digital tools.